Zekas.
Jackus.
You know when I told you that I was trying to change my brake pads the other day, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I know I already told you this, but I'm telling the audience this right now. I got a jack stand from my buddy because the one that is in my car isn't tall enough to actually lift up the car. Like, that makes any fucking sense.
Like the one that came with your car.
Yes. It is the normal hand-cranked silver jack stand.
Yeah.
And I have to stack it on a couple things of wood or rocks or stone or whatever to even try to get this car off the ground.
Isn't that the finest of engineering?
It's tremendous. But to get these brake pads off, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a goddamn man. I'm going to do it myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only real reason why I don't do stuff myself on my car is because I'm terrified to. I'm terrified that I'm going to break something. So in my head, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, we really shouldn't. And then the other half of my brain was like, be a fucking man. Sack up, pussy.
The worst you could do is cut your brake line a little bit.
The worst you could do is snap the brake line, brother. But I go get a jack stand that my boy Dalton has.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, that's the guy famously helped you take the thing off your car when you hit the raccoon. We've told this story 3 or 4 times. But I got that jack stand, and it was taller, and it was, like, one that I was actually looking for. I was like, sick.
Yeah.
Didn't lift the car off the ground. Fully extended, the tire came maybe half an inch off the ground.
Oh, that's all you need.
No, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
See,
I may be exaggerating this. I'm telling you right now, I'm awful with measurements. If it came off the ground, it was like that. Like it wasn't.
In that case, it'd probably be hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, fuck. Then I come up with a solution to right next to my driveway where, do you remember the boat I used to have in my front yard?
Yeah.
Over there was these 2 long-ass wood pieces. It's not like 2x4s. It's just long wooden...
Big and square, I'm assuming?
More round, okay?
More round. Oh, okay.
But I'm like, I grab that and I drag it all the way over to the car. I put the jack on, pumping it, right?
Yeah.
I get 80% of the way before... big ass split goes through the wood. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Fuck no.
Yeah. It reminds me of when my, continue.
So, I end up calling, first of all, I call Firestone, and let's continue our little fucking tirade on Firestone that we have throughout this podcast. I called them up and I'm like, yo, I have these brake pads. I'm not able to put them on myself. Can you do it? They're like, we don't provide labor for stuff bought outside the store. And I was like, go fuck yourself. You're still making money, you stupid bitch. Anyway.
That's a liability thing that I can agree with in some cases.
How?
Say they put it on and your shit still breaks again. That could be on them for doing that work, or you could put it on them for doing that work.
Yeah, but couldn't you do that even if they bought their own brake pads?
Yeah, but in that case, they're 100% taking the fault for it. In your case, like, oh, you bought it, and then we put it on, so now you have an issue with it breaking again, even though you bought the part.
Okay, I'll walk it back a little bit then. But I called this other mechanic shop. I said, yo, same thing. And he was like, yeah, I'd usually charge $140, but I'll do it for $100. I was like, bet. I don't have the money right now. I could go Thursday. The reason I'm telling you all this, the next morning, I get in my car and start driving my lady to work. We drive up that hill in the driveway.
Yeah.
And once we hit, make it over the bump and get on the street, it sounded like a trailer going over a speed bump. Right? And she was like, what was that? I was like, I don't know. And what's weird is I didn't feel a bump. The steering wheel didn't go a little crazy.
No grinding noises or anything?
No. So I get back and I go over a couple speed bumps and it's not really making the noise. I get back down the driveway and it makes it a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that day happens. I go pick up my little sister. She hops in the car and I hear it. I hear a little doot, right? Well, as we're driving to my lady's work, right on the street, as we're pulling into the stoplight, there's a massive dip, right?
Uh-huh.
So I've been stressing and shaking about this all day because that does not sound good at all.
Not at all, no.
I hit this and it's loud. It sounded like something fell off the car, right?
Okay, so before you get to a conclusion here, did you take any parts or like unscrew anything on your car? Okay.
Next thing I know, my lug nut wrench is going down my windshield. It was the fucking lug nut wrench on my roof. And let me ask you this. It was raining. I went on the interstate. How the fuck did it stay up there?
I think you owe your roof some like a prize or something.
Yeah, no, dude.
Token of gratitude.
My little sister started freaking out and she was like, what? And I was like, that was my lug wrench. Can you go get it for me? And she went out and grabbed it. And my next question is, how the fuck did my wallet not stay up there, but this round piece of equipment stayed on there throughout the fucking interstate? How did that happen?
When did your wallet get up there?
So I was wearing pants with no pockets.
Oh, that day?
Yeah, not that day.
Oh, okay.
This was a week ago. I was wearing pants and no pockets. I popped my wallet onto the roof when I went and paid for gas, or while I was pumping gas. Completely forgot it was up there.
Ooh.
And it's gone.
I was going to ask if you ever found it or something.
No, I went back to... I was in Thornton's, and yeah, it's gone. I am cardless until next week, which is phenomenal.
That is... Yeah, that's actually unfortunate. Damn.
So it baffles me. How balanced is this thing? First of all, surviving that on the interstate. Second of all, surviving several bumps where it did leave the roof.
As you've heard.
Dude, there's a God, brother. I'm converted. That's pretty fucking important to have.
Yeah.
Now, I won't find any use of it until I get a $300 jack stand that can actually lift my car off the ground.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
God damn.
As I was saying, your jack not being tall enough reminded me of when my granddad called me to change out his tire or his brakes and rotors. And before I found out that I had to completely disassemble, the rotor assembly to change those rotors, I was trying to jack the truck up, and he had a jack at his house, or he had two for that matter, but one wasn't working, and the other one I had to make work, I guess.
Yeah.
And I put it on the truck, start jacking it up, and was like, this isn't going to work, but let me try it out. So I keep going, get fully extended. I'm still a solid like this far from the bottom of the truck. So I was like, okay. So I go around to the shed, which is a solid like 200-foot walk because, of course, their backyard just has to be big and the shed has to be all the way back there. But walk around it, grab some like pavers, start putting it in the truck, and I was just like, I don't see the point where his frame is connected to the step that he had there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just use the frame of the step, thinking, it'll work. I start jacking the truck up, and I see the step start moving. And I was like, that might not work so well. So I called my granddad over. I was like, dude, where is the frame of this truck that's where it's not connected to this step? He was like, don't you see it right there? His old man voice. And I was like, no. He said, y'all just can't see nothing. He's like, right there. And I was like, that's where I had it. He's like, no, not right there, right there. Right next to it. I was like, sure, I'll try that. And I mean, eventually got it working, but I had to go all the way back up to the other side of the shed to grab another paver because that was still too short. And I was like, hey, so I just looked this up. I'm not going to be able to change out your rotors, but I can change your brakes as long as you get the rotors done pretty soon.
Yeah.
He was like, why can't you do that? And I was like, well, in order to take your rotor off, I have to unscrew this assembly, which is caked in like asphalt grease or something, just little bit blacks of tar or little bits of tar, caked around the outside. And I was like, I don't have a tool, or you don't have a tool either, that can get that off. So, yeah, I can't do it.
See, I get a little masculinity points and I feel a little better about myself when I see videos of people who try to jack up their car, but they put it not on the frame and it just tears through the outside.
They put it on the fender there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, how did no one teach you that? Like the basic, when people say I don't know how to change a tire, it blows my mind. It is so simple. And I don't care what gender you are. Man, woman, non-binary. Dude, everybody should teach their children how to change a tire.
Yeah. It is.
But no,
changing a tire was like one of the first things I learned how to do, and I taught that myself.
it's not hard.
It's not.
When people, I will see like 7 out of 10 people say they don't know how to change a tire, and it blows my. I know dick about fixing cars. Changing a tire is literally the most complex thing you have to know how to do. Is you have to tighten the lug nuts in a star. Yeah, you can't do it in a circle. You have to do it in a star, and that's not even that fucking hard.
It's not even a matter of having to do that. That's just more of a matter of procedure, just to ensure that your tire is on there equally in strength, I guess.
Yeah, but jacking up the car, not difficult. Unless, like, on Lizzie, I got a little nervous because, on most cars, they have, like, a divot where you can see, like, oh, the jack goes right there.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have that. So I was like, well, I know where it's supposed to go, but can't get too far, can't get too close. So I was like, right there, good.
Yeah, no, in my experience, as long as it's on the frame, you're usually fine. Anywhere else, you're playing with your luck there, but
you just got to get pretty close to the tire.
Yeah.
But all these problems and all this stress has got me thinking, sometimes I wish I was just back in school.
I get that feeling too, yeah. Because not having to worry about things.
In school, and like even in high school, I had the stress of not getting a car, and we can make this an entire like car podcast, my whole journey through like getting scammed, my uncle fucking me over, getting a truck and having the transmission fall out in a week, totaling the Buick I was supposed to have. Dude, so much shit happened in like high school car issues, but just like school, going home, jerking off, eating pizza, and playing video games. That was life. That was life.
I think for my last, 2 years of high school, I got a job. But other than that, it was just school and home. I didn't even have to worry about getting there. I just took the bus. It was light work. It was easy.
See, it was hard for me to get a job only because, like, I put in applications and stuff, but my mom was working 3 jobs, and I didn't have a car. So it was pretty much like, well, I'll get one when I graduate, I guess.
Yeah, my worst struggle about school was I was in band. I was in marching band. So we had practices every Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday we had games. The worst part was getting home those days, but because my mom had 2 jobs as well. But other than that, life was easy. I didn't have homework because my teachers, like, if they did give me homework, it was always I had enough time in class to do it. So I never had to worry about that. It was just getting home, playing games.
See, I moved schools sophomore year. No, into junior year. Like the last couple months of not junior, freshman year. The last couple months of freshman year, I had to move houses, right?
Yeah.
But my mom was able to get us in this program where we were zoned for a different school. But she was like, I know y'all don't want to leave the school. So she got us into this
zoning
program.
exemption.
Huh?
Yeah, a zone exemption. Or zoning exemption, something along those lines.
I think it was like a certain kind of name, and I can't remember it. Basically a zoning exemption.
Yeah.
But they would have like a bus come and pick us up, and the only issue is the bus came and picked us up at 5 a.m.
Ooh.
We had to sit through the kindergartners and the high schoolers.
Yeah.
But one year, I'll get to this long ass story that I've been wanting to tell in this podcast and wanting to tell you, and I don't think I have, because I need some clarification. I need you to be on my side of this dumbass bus driver's side, right?
Okay.
The first year, it went by fine. We were picked up by this bus driver in the morning, and then she did her kindergarten route, and then met another bus driver at a Dollar General. We got on his bus, and then went to school, right?
Yeah.
Or was the other way around? I don't remember whose bus we got on first.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely fine. Dude, I got one of my best friends since middle school was on that bus, and we got to cuddle on that bus, and I was like, fucking, I'm living life. I'm living life, dog.
All right.
Little PDA, little weird, not gonna lie. Cuddling on a bus, trashy, very trashy.
You said best friend, right?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
It was a chick. It was a girl. I'm not fucking gay.
You didn't have to say it like that, but
I'm not fucking gay. No. I'm not fucking gay. Anyways, the second year, I had to ride the short bus.
How did that feel?
I got some stories from this short bus, okay? I promise I'm not going to dominate this podcast. And listen, these stories are 110% true. There may be some things that come out of my mouth that people find offensive, and I'm telling you right now, this is 110% true. Okay?
Okay, go for it.
The first thing I want to tell you about the short bus is there was a lady who rode that bus that the entire time I would try to sleep. I'm not going to lie to you. I would just try to sleep. And sometimes I would wake up and look over, and she'd just be like, staring me down. And I would just be like,
making sure you weren't dead.
Another one, this kid got into a fight. He started beating the shit out of this chick in the front row. And I think it was because the bus driver took his crackers away. All I heard was like, Jimmy, calm down. And he went, ah, and started beating on the back of the bus driver's seat. And then he turned to the chick that was sitting next to him and just started clocking her. And I was like, what is
Jesus
going on?
Christ.
And this is where it gets offensive, okay? So, sometimes I would be late to school where I wouldn't get to eat breakfast. Sophomore year was a bad year for me, overall. But sometimes I would get late, and that's because they had to pick this kid up. And all I'm going to say is they had to use the elevator in the back. Okay?
Okay.
They picked this kid up, wheel his ass into the bus, and the entire 20 minutes of the ride to school, again, this isn't offensive. I'm not mocking this kid. This is what he did. He would just be going, ah, 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 ah. 20 minutes. 20 minutes, Z. I wanted to kick down the emergency door and throw his ass out and deal with the consequences later.
You're a horrible person.
That's not. You're telling me any rational person that doesn't work with special ed people, God bless those people, wouldn't want to just strangle him?
I've got to say, the people that work with special ed kids are true fucking heroes. Because I know they go through some shit.
Listen,
I know they go through some shit.
I have a cousin who is classified as special ed, right? He was born with part of his brain just unable to function. He doesn't have regular motor skills. And I believe his mind is still a little behind. And
Yeah.
if he listens to this, you can correct me on that. I'm not trying to be offensive. That's how he's been his entire life, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like, I'm not saying special ed kids are fucking dipshit losers that should be thrown to the wolves. Not saying that. I'm just saying,
not saying that.
to put, I'm not saying. I'm not saying any of that, okay?
All right. Okay.
Oddly specific, but we're just going to keep it moving. Anyway, no, I'm not saying, like, listen, not all cops are bad, right?
Oh, Lord, this is going into a territory I'm scared for.
Okay, let's move on to my junior year. I'm just saying, special ed kids, it does take a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like in today's society, you're not really supposed to say that. Oh, they're just like normal kids. No, they're not. No, they're not.
They require extra care, and that's fine.
And that's fine. And if you put up with it, you're a fucking soldier. Love you for it. Great.
Yeah.
Right? I can't, as you could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I have a kid who's born with those disabilities, I'm sure that I will think completely different, right?
Yeah.
But right now, when I am a high schooler who already doesn't get enough sleep and has to get on this bus at 5 a.m. and I have to hear that for 20 minutes, I'm going to tell you that I wish I brought a gun onto the bus. I'm just saying.
I'd be more quiet about it, but I would for sure be annoyed. I mean, I've always known not to be like, aggressive or anything, but I would be annoyed. There's no helping that. I just know myself.
I love how you're kind of painting me like I finally had enough, and I grabbed some dodgeballs from the gym and went into the special ed kid class and just shut the door, and all you heard was ah!
I feel like they'd beat your ass either way.
Oh my god, dude. It would be so funny, and I would never show my face again. It's like, hey, what happened to Jack? Oh, he got jumped by the special ed kids. Huh? What?
Did he win? No, he threw a few punches, but he got overpowered.
Dude, he brought in some dodgeballs and kendo sticks and still got fucked up. I come in like a full body cast the next day. What happened? I don't want to talk about it.
Didn't the teachers help? They wouldn't stop him.
They knew I couldn't overpower. Dude, it turns out like special ed kids are like the mutants of our universe. Like, I just pop up in there and some have metal claws and others can like, I just hear in my mind, you fucked up.
You fucked up, Jackie.
The teachers are looking at me like, that's why we keep them in this corner. Like, you shouldn't have come here.
Oh, Lord. I wrote the short bus all of like 2 times in like elementary school because, let me see if I can get this straight. So my elementary school, I grew up in the hood for one. Let's preface this. I grew up like in the middle of the six, like gunshots nightly were not a special thing.
So you had...
No, hear me out.
I'm just thinking of like a Down syndrome Crip member.
No, I don't think we've had any of those.
I'm sorry, that's just in my head, and I had to get it out there.
No, but elementary school, my school was, I think, 3 or 4 blocks from my house. Like, I could walk there if I wanted to. But my mom hated that idea because, again, I lived in the hood. Uh-huh. And I would always go to the community center right next door to my elementary school to, like, hang out. I think I'd always spend my time in, like, the computer room or something. Either that or the game room.
Fucking nerd.
And, yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, they had tried to start some program where a bunch of kids would head over to that community center after school. They tried to start a program where they would have a bus to take those kids home, at a certain time of day, when the parents are like guaranteed to be there or something. And they had it like all of 2 times where I would go to the community center and then, at like 5:30 or something, get out, take the bus home. And there were no special ed kids on that bus because they were already home by that point in time. Yeah. But that was like the only time I remember riding the short bus. I never had any super fun experiences like that.
Oh, it was very, very, very fun. Very educational.
Yeah, I mean, I've witnessed a few fights on the bus.
Learned a lot of things that I needed. Dude, I got. I was sitting. Have you ever had the bus pulled over by the cops, or the bus driver? Not bus like the bus pulled over by the cops, but the bus driver pull over and call the police.
No.
Dude, this bus driver would do that every time there was a fight, right? I'm acting like a fight was happening every day. But there was one where these two chicks, like right in front of my seat, grabbed each other. And the only thing I remember is like hair in front of each other's face and one going, "Hit me, bitch! Hit me, bitch!" But there was one time I almost got into a fight getting off the bus. And I told my dad about this because I felt bad. Because I was a little pussy growing up. But he was like, "No, you did your thing. You did what you're supposed to do." I was dating this chick, right?
Yeah.
And this one kid on the bus, this one annoying ass kid, this wannabe gangster, but very, very Caucasian. Very Caucasian.
One of those kids, okay.
Like, I went on his Facebook, and I'm telling you, it was his name, and then the little line underneath was "Pussy Eater for Life." Okay?
Oh.
One of these fucking losers, okay?
One of those kids, yeah.
So he finds out that I'm dating this girl. And all of a sudden he's like, "I'm going to get with her." Now his way of trying to get with her is just asking her out over and over and over again. No flirting. No fucking goo goo gaga got you shit. Just going up to her and asking her out, right?
I give him credit for his balls for that because I didn't have that manpower in high school or whatever.
But I would just ignore it. Just put my head down. I'd wear my headphones on the bus anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he starts like chanting this in front of everybody on the bus while he's walking off the bus. And this was the time my brother was on the bus with me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he started talking shit to the dude. The dude was chanting. And what's up?
I was fully expecting your brother to turn to you and be like, "You gonna take this shit?"
You gonna be a little bitch about this?
Yeah.
But no, all the way off the bus, my brother's talking shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get up and I'm following behind. I'm not far behind. And I look out the window and I see him grab my little brother and throw him against the bus. Okay? I'm so shocked this bus driver didn't do anything because I proceeded to grab the two people in front of me, push them into the seats, run off of the bus, grab him by the back of the collar, and pin him against the school. And I was like, "Don't ever put your fucking hands on my brother again." And he looked at me and he was like, "Get out of my face." And I just let him go and shoved him towards the door, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I was steaming. I'm not trying to make myself seem like a badass. I'm not. But there's a couple lines you don't cross. One of them is touching my brothers growing up. Period. Fair. I walked into the school and there was a couple people that saw it happen and they came up to me and they were like, "What were you thinking? Like, you could have been in trouble." And I just went, just kept walking. And then let me tell y'all this, okay? I'm never going to promote fighting. But from that point forward, I would hear, there was a conversation I heard where someone was like, "Hey, you should fight Jack's little brother." And they were like, "And get jumped by Jack? No fucking way." I set a fucking example and no one fucked with him since then. I'm telling you right now, older brothers, set that fucking example. First day on the bus. Find the
biggest motherfucker out there.
Grab him by the hair and say, "Hey, say some shit to my little brother." And if he's going like, "What? I was just doing my math homework." Say some shit to my little brother. Turns to him's like, "Dork." Now let that be an example to all you motherfuckers.
No, I think, an experience, you brought up having to call the cops, your bus driver.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, I want to say this was like junior or senior year. I can't remember. It was the height of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right. So 2016, 2017.
Yeah, which would have been sophomore, junior year, somewhere around that for me. There was a kid that lived right around the corner from me I won't throw his real name out there, but he was like the high school like gang members,
Yeah.
whatever, and he had brought a gun to school one day.
Nice.
For the record, never do that.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
See, quick pin in your story just because of the gun.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who liked modding Nerf guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was too scared to ask my mom to go over to people's houses. Don't know why. And this little cunt, this little fucking snitching little snake, I put it in my backpack and brought it to school. I was like, hey, slip this in your backpack. And I showed him it. And he, in the middle of the hallway, was like, are you fucking crazy? What are you doing? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Shut the fuck up. What are you doing?
I hate those kids. I hate those kids.
Continue.
But yeah, he brings a gun to school, and he wasn't going to shoot anybody. Like, it was, from what I have heard at least, like, he was just going to show it off. But
As
somebody,
kids do.
yeah, somebody had heard that he had that gun, and then, told the school. So we went into, Code Yellow? Not like complete lockdown, but stay in their classes.
Okay.
And we had found out, that was towards the end of the day, so we were like staying like 20, 30 minutes after school, like just sitting in the classroom. And we were getting to the buses, and we had found out that it was him that had brought a gun to school. And all of the other gang members were like parading in front of the school, like, Black Lives Matter, free my brother, type shit.
He didn't do nothing.
Yeah, that shit. And that started like a chain reaction for my bus and one other bus, because those were the two buses for the hoods around my area. There's the 6 and the 3, as I like to call them.
I'm sure some of the white staff members were like, "Yep," and that's why we keep them on those buses.
Probably. But I remember one kid going up to the cops, screaming at him, and then he did something, of course, incredibly stupid, and then just like walked away. And the cops were like, "No, now you come over here. We're going to take you too." And he made it all the way up to the bus. They walked in, yanked him out, put him in handcuffs, and then like two of the girls that I had known were like in an argument about what Black Lives Matter actually meant. Because one was like, it's actually Black Lives Matter too, not just Black Lives Matter. And it was like that arguing semantics type shit.
What?
That almost, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
a little statement. Black Lives Matter, the implication is Black Lives Matter too. But the statement is to tell the government that Black Lives Matter and they're not some expendable, like, subhuman kind of thing. That's the whole message. I fucking hated political conversations in high school. It always made no fucking sense. Shut up!
Yeah, I was just over it at that point, but I was like one seat in front of them, and my friend happened to be in between those two girls as they stood up and were about to go to blows, and he was just like cowering. And like me and my whole friend group were just sitting there pointing at him like fucking dying, because he was like, I don't know what to fucking do. I'm in between these people.
I will say the one of the funniest things that I did not say out loud, but everybody thought I was crazy because I was laughing, was there was a politically charged conversation going on in my creative writing class, right? Bunch of fucking liberals. But
To be expected.
Trump got brought up, right?
Okay.
This girl turned and just every label, every buzzword at that time. He's a racist, misogynist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, yada yada, just rattling them off. No understanding of what those words mean and the deepness of those words. And the reason I started laughing was because I want you to picture the stereotypical liberal SJW. I don't want to use that lingo, but picture them.
Mm-hmm.
That was her. Colored hair, overweight. I'm not fat shaming. Overweight. And she was, Trump's this, and that. Fuck off. Shut up. You don't understand what you're talking about. I agree with you on some of those labels, but right now, as a senior in high school, you don't have any fucking understanding of what you're talking about.
Try college kids. Try college kids.
See, that's why I asked my dad. He was like, I said, okay, I want to hear it from both sides, right?
Yeah.
And my dad and my grandfather are massive conservatives. I've said that on this podcast. So I told them, I asked them, I was like, hey, what are some conservative talking heads that I should tune into, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad said Ben Shapiro. And listen, Ben Shapiro is a smart guy. But I don't really take anyone seriously that parades around college campuses in these owned compilations just debating overly emotional college kids and then fold when they debate anybody that is at least as intelligent as them. I just don't take them seriously. Ben's a smart guy. But
so at my school, you can probably see it on there on my shirt here. Every year, I don't know how many times a year, but I know it's specifically every year that we have we like to call the crazy preacher guy show up and just start yelling at people, I guess. Not like at them face to face, but he'll stand in the middle of like a common area and be like reading off Bible verses and saying how we should be conservatives and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had learned very shortly after the first time citing him that he just comes to try and get people to hit him so he could sue the school.
Yeah, probably.
And that guy just reminded me of like Ben Shapiro, like all the other people for that matter that will go to college campuses just to try and debate with people only to get shut down when somebody actually brings up, facts or the other side of what they're trying to say.
Dude, one of my favorite moments is Steven Crowder, the whole change my mind shit.
Mm-hmm.
He was debating socialism, and he started debating this kid that was slaughtering him, right? Yeah. And he visibly, right? He kept his calm, sort of, but you could tell he was getting so frustrated to the point where he was leaning, like scooting his chair in and leaning into the kid's personal space. And the kid was like, can you what are you doing?
You get hit so bad you gotta try and fight him or some shit. I don't know.
But no, fighting. But oh yeah, that was gonna lead me into this has nothing to do with school. It's just an observation that I've had in the past week. I don't give a fuck to an extent who you vote for. I truly don't. But I think you are a pathetic loser if you buy the merch. Any person I see with a Make America Great Again hat or a Trump shirt or decked out their truck in Trump flags, and I'm saying Trump all the time because it's rare that I see a liberal posting the merch of their favorite politician, right? You are a pathetic, attention-seeking loser if you buy the merch. I'm just saying, if you buy the merch as a little bit of a troll, sure, whatever. Trolls, that's an entirely different conversation. But I saw this video where this guy was on a plane and he got seated first and he recorded himself with a shirt that said vote for, and it said Joe Biden or convicted felon. And this square was filled in for convicted felon. And he was recording himself smiling. He was going, watching everybody pass because he was waiting for someone to say something or blow up because you are so terminally online that you think people give a fuck and will actually say something to you.
It blows my mind when people try and draw out a reaction. Like, sure, you can vote for whoever you want to vote for. I'm not going to judge you. But as soon as you get to I'm going to do this stunt in public to see who would get mad at me just so I could, I don't know, do whatever, get them arrested or some shit. It's just ridiculous at that point.
I've picked so many Trump shirts, masks, full-on Trump head masks, pants, hats, pins, flags, and I roll my eyes, okay? I don't fucking like Trump. But the reason I roll my eyes is because you are so fucking stupid. And I hated when Biden got elected and everybody was like, well, where's all the Biden supporters? Where's all the Biden merch? It's not normal to wear the merch of a politician. It's not normal.
I gotta say, Trump must have done something right in this campaign to have so many people so loyal to him that they buy merch like that. And the people that make the merch, I know they're making it big. They're getting money.
Dude, they've done this for almost a decade. It started in 2016 with the Make America Great Again hats. And then it was Keep America Great merch in 2020. And then it was Make America Great Again 2024 or Trump 2020 or whatever. Dude, almost a decade pushing hundreds. I know it's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of merch. Because if you're a dedicated Trump supporter, you're not just buying the hat. You're getting fully decked out.
You're buying the hat, the shirt, the flag, the pants, the shoes. I'm pretty sure... Okay, in town here for Trump's, 2020 election?
Okay.
There was a town that used to be there was a store that used to be a Payless shoe store. Remember those stores?
Yeah.
Somebody had either bought it or rented it out, and they turned it into a Trump shop.
I've seen those. What is that?
I don't know. But it was literally just a whole store selling nothing but Trump merch. And I was like, there's no way they actually did that. People were going in and buying shit.
That is so fun. And you're trying to tell me, and I hate making the comparison, but shit like that really lends itself. You're telling me it's not a cult? You're telling me you don't worship this sack of shit? I watched just recently, like today, some guy was like, I wouldn't vote for Joe Biden because I'm a law and order guy and I'm not going to vote that crook into whatever. And the guy interviewing was like, okay, fair, law and order guy. What about Trump and all the felonies he was just convicted of? And he was like, well, not everybody's perfect. And he was like, yeah, I know, but you just said you're a law and order guy. And he was like, well, which one of those politicians haven't committed crimes? I'm like, okay, then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, every Trump supporter that I am friends with, let me make that distinction there, that I am friends with, they have valid reasoning as to why they support Trump, and I'll give it to them. And then there's people that I'm acquainted with and not much more friends. And like, I don't remember if we've said on the pod before, but you said you had a litmus test for anybody that says they're they can go either way.
I got a couple of litmus tests.
Yeah, that guy, I pulled that trick on him. I think I told you. And I was like, yeah, Project 2025, it sounds really, really fucked up. And he was like, oh, it's just misunderstood. I was like, okay.
Yeah, for any of those wondering, I have a litmus test. I have 2 litmus tests right now for the kind of person you are, okay? The one Z is talking about is, I had this guy who was like, yeah, man, all politicians are bad. I hate all of them. I'm directly in the middle. They can all go to hell. I was like, all right. Wasn't it kind of fucked up how Texas was underwater with no power and people were starving and dying and Ted Cruz kind of fucked off to Cancun? And he looked me dead in the face and said, well, what was he supposed to do? You're a fucking Republican. Thank you. Thank you. Holy shit. Yeah. Just say that. Just say you're a Republican. I don't like any politicians as long as they're blue. That's the distinction you need to make.
Yeah. Like, it gets wild in today's political landscape. Honestly, I could go either way. I just vote for the lesser of two evils, in my opinion.
Now, the other litmus test I have is a race test, okay? So, I'm not friends with people who are like, well, these people can't be racist because yada yada. Shut the fuck up. Shut up, okay? Mm-hmm. And I have this litmus test in case this topic ever brings up. I have a video saved on my TikTok, and I resave it every time it's getting far down, where it's a wedding party and this DJ drops a stupidly good mix, right? You know, where it switches or a transition, not a mix, right?
Yeah.
And it cuts to this black guy, and he was like, that's such a good transition. And he wasted it on those musty, crusty, mayo-ass, unsalted people. And I'm going to show that to anybody. And if they do anything other than, what the fuck is his problem? I'm not going to be acquainted with you. If you laugh and say like, true, fuck you, walk away. Because that's such weird behavior.
It is. It's like, what was his problem?
He doesn't like white people. Unless you're... But that's another thing. That's another thing. It's crazy, by the way, how many TikTokers hate white people but will sleep with them. It's insane.
That could go for any race because I've seen that specific scenario. I haven't seen it personally, I'll say, but like I've seen it happen so many times.
Oh no, have you heard the threats by like Grindr?
No.
Dude, Florida, when it was trying to pass all this anti-LGBTQ stuff, Grindr said if this goes through, we are going to release every single Republican that is on Grindr. Because there's a lot more than you'll think. You know Ezekiel in The Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty prevalent. For those of you who get it, you get it.
Yeah.
Watch the Boys. It's a good show. It's in the first season.
That is true, yeah.
Now,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. James, you owe me a soda.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's crazy out there. There's so many people that just refuse to accept the truth, but only want to believe theirs.
Yeah, and then claim that's the one. That's the truth. That's the one and all truth. Let me tell you something. There's only one truth, and that's the good Lord's above. That's the good Lord's above. And let me tell you something. We don't know that truth because we are just mere mortals, and you fucked up the Bible. I'm just saying. Anyways, I don't know why I'd put on that voice the good Lord's above.
The good Lord's Bible.
Now, I'm going to tell this bus story, okay?
All right.
Senior year, I get put on this bus from the guy that was originally with, that drove the second bus my sophomore year. So I was pretty excited about it. Well, he starts dropping little nuggets. Okay, actually, this was my junior year, not my senior year. He starts dropping little nuggets of being a bit of a cunt. Okay?
All right.
So I wasn't the only one in this program. There was a whole group of people that were in this program. We would go to the back of the bus so the kindergartners could take up the front half, and then the high schoolers he picked up would just leave us alone. We could just sit back there and chill, right?
Yeah.
If we talked just a little bit too loud, he'd get over the intercom and tell us to quiet down. If we played music, again, just slightly, if he could just hear the beat of it, he would get on the intercom and tell us to shut it off. He didn't want to hear it, right?
Okay.
Just turn this switch. But a couple of these little instances started happening. And then one day, I told you, I would get on that bus at 5 a.m, fall asleep. Because it's 5 a.m, okay?
Yeah.
So he started sending my boy, who I would hang out with back there, when he would get on the bus, because he was a high schooler, right? But he'd come back there because we'd been friends all throughout high school.
Yeah.
One day he comes up to me and he taps me on the shoulder, and I go, yeah, what's good? And he says, he told me to come wake you up. And I was like, huh? And he said, yeah, he said he doesn't want you sleeping, so he told me to come wake you up. And I wasn't like spreading my legs across the seats. I was in my own thing. I'm a big guy, but I can sleep anywhere. To ask my lady, okay? So I get pissed off because this entire time, these couple of months of him just leaving these nuggets, it pissed me off. Yeah. So he got to a stop. And after the people sat down who got on that stop, I went up to the front of the bus. I sat in the front seat and I said, why'd you make him wake me up? And he looked me dead in the face and said, well, if the fire alarm goes off, you'll be asleep and not hear it. I'm like, if the fire alarm goes off, kids are going to run off this bus screaming. I think I'll be awake. Don't wake me up. Went to the back of the bus.
Yeah, no, I had some good bus drivers. We gave them nicknames and they just rolled with it. The first one was Big Mama. She was actually a pretty chill older lady. Like, she looked out for us, like, as much as you can being a bus driver. But she would bring on, I think, her boyfriend or somebody every now and again. And it would get real awkward up towards the front of the bus. And then she eventually retired. And then we had Dusty, who some of those kids gave a lot of shit. And I'm surprised he didn't lose his, because I would have, like, man, those kids were assholes. No, I always sat at the back of the bus being the loud, obnoxious kids that I was friends with. But those kids up front, Man.
We had a bus driver every Friday who'd bring a bowl of candy. We'd grab a piece of candy when he dropped us off. It's pretty lit. Pretty
We had a
lit.
bus driver do that once. I think Big Mama did it a few times, like for holidays and stuff when we were getting dropped off for like the last time for that week or whatever.
Yeah.
She was real cool.
But he pulled up to the school, and Dr. Colette was out there. I'm not scared to say her name. She was a bitch. I'm going to tell you how much of a bitch she was. She was standing outside the school. I immediately knew it was for me. I knew it. So I was the last to get off the bus. He didn't have to tell me. I sat in the seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she gets on the bus, and she's like, he tells me that you ran up to the front of the bus. And the guy was like, yeah, he was sleeping, and yada, yada, yada. And they both were just like berating me, not letting me talk, right? Just saying this, and that. And I look her in the face, and I'm like, can I explain from my perspective what happened? And she says, no. And I was like, all right. I sat back, and she was like, you're going to sit up front from now on, keep him company. And in my head, I'm like, he drives 2 busfuls of kids. Hey, if he wants company from kids after he stays yapping on that fucking radio, he's a weirdo. First of all, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I would have, for one, I probably would have said some shit that would have actually gotten me in trouble in a more serious sense, because that would have been it for me.
I had to shut down. But
That would have been it.
This continues. Okay?
Okay.
I continue to sleep on the bus. Okay? And there's one time, and I will admit, it's completely my fault, but this is just what felt comfy. I put my hand on my thigh in the inside of my sweatpants. Okay? And now he's telling everybody that I have my hand in my pants, insinuating that I'm jerking off on the bus. Right?
Okay.
But he has me up here. Oh, I don't even tell. Put a pin right there, right in that timeline. Back here. Okay. I'll tell you another story of how fucked this got. I found a 100-day of school class. You remember that shit?
No.
I found do you remember them celebrating it's 100 days of school and yada, yada, yada? Do you remember any of that?
We never did that.
Okay, well, a lot of my schools in my county, I guess, did that. And they'd put on these glasses and they'd have little parties or whatever. I found a pair of these glasses on the bus and I put them on my head and I made autistic sounds. I did. I'm going to admit it. I did. Our entire group started laughing and we were laughing pretty hard. Okay. And I will admit, this dude who always liked to push the fucking boundary started screeching and punching the front of the seat. Okay. So he separated us and we couldn't talk to anybody. But moving forward to here, from that point on, every time I would get on the bus, I had that seat. I would sit there. And then if I talked to anyone, like I was talking to one of my friends also on that bus. And when it got to her stop, he said, hey, you're not allowed to sit up here anymore. And it's not even we were being loud. It was literally we had a conversation. And he was like, you're not allowed to sit up here anymore. Okay?
All right.
Now, that's the end of that bus driver. So tell me, again, you could say you're just hearing this from my perspective. There's 2 sides to every story, but let me know. Was I fucking up?
I don't think so. I mean, common sense. Okay, here's my standpoint. Why work with kids if you hate kids?
Yeah.
That's like school teachers, you're fucking heroes. I will give it to you. But the ones that, like in your example, can I explain my side of the story? No. Why are you talking to me then?
Yeah.
Like, what is beneficial for you to be saying anything to me right now?
I don't want to be armchair therapist, but honestly, I think they lack control in their life. Now they have a job to where they have some control, and they're gonna use it. They're gonna take that motherfucker and not let it go. But that's just
my issue comes in is that the schools, in my experience, will defend these teachers.
Yep.
But the good ones, fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. Oh, sorry. You had a kid that punched you and then said you punched them? You're out of here.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what other kid stands up for you. Fuck you, I guess. And it pains me to see teachers like that because, what's the point? All you're doing is making the kid mad, and then if it say it was his breaking point and he goes off the edge or some shit, it's you did jack shit to help him.
Now let me put a bow on this Dr. Colette. Okay? I told you she's a bitch. This is what stamped it home. And I don't give a single solitary fuck if any of her kids listen to this or her husband listens to this or it's a chance, right? It's a very small chance. I don't give a fuck. I didn't have the self-confidence to say what I wanted to her face, and my guidance counselor wanted to be professional, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in her office after this dude bitches about me again, okay?
Okay.
And they're like, you're going to have to find another way to school. Like, you're getting off of that bus. Do you have anything, right? And at that time, I had bought a 1996 Honda Accord, and it needed to be worked on. It's the car that my uncle fucked me over on, but we can talk about that a different day.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, so I have this car, and I have this plan. That was my words. I have this plan. And I didn't get another word out of my mouth after Dr. Colette was sitting at her computer and said, a plan, and started laughing. And I'm telling you, my guidance counselor, who was the sweetest lady that I had ever known, I looked at her and she shot daggers at Dr. Colette. She was ready to jump up and beat the shit out of her. You are supposed to be helping me. That is your job. I'm explaining a situation and you're laughing at me. As you said, Z, why do you have this job?
Yeah, literally. Like, absolutely why. You know, we're getting pretty close here to the end. So I'm gonna turn that into a good teacher story.
Well, hold on. Because I have one more thing to say, and I promise I'll let you go. Okay?
Go for it.
Just to put a bow on the entire story. How I got out of this was my boy Robert. Shout out to him. I really hope that I could reconnect with him because he was that dude. Okay? Rest of junior year, he took me to school before I found a different way. But before that, this dude stopped showing up to my house. He stopped coming to pick me up. And my mom didn't believe me. This is the only time my mom ever apologized to me because she thought I was just oversleeping when, you know, it's 6 o'clock and I'm not on a bus, right?
Yeah.
So then one night, I asked her boyfriend at the time, I'm like, hey, can you drive me to school tomorrow? And he said, yeah. And then she comes up to me and she's like, if you're not lying, why'd you ask him to drive you to school? And I was like, well, my bus driver's not really reliable. She was like, we'll see. She wakes me up, and at 5:20, when he is supposed to be outside of my house, doesn't show up. Right? I get taken to school, and she tells me that she calls the bus driver and says, no, I was there. She was like, no, you weren't. I was outside of my house, and you weren't there. And he said, no, I have this little GPS that I flick on, and it tells... And it's like, yeah, they're going to cover your ass. I already know it. Especially if Dr. Colette is over that. I know it's fucking hard to believe, but this dude was not showing up.
Yeah.
I don't get how you can do that. I eventually got taken off the bus. I was not taken off the bus at that time.
Oh.
But
that would have... for one, if my kid had a bus driver that just stopped showing up to his house... I would have brought so much of an issue to that they would have probably had to have sent a lawyer my way or something. Like every day I'm calling, you gonna pick him up? You coming? I'm waiting. I'm here.
Fuck that. I'm outside of the house, motherfucker.
Like, pull up, motherfucker. Like, for real.
Pull up, pick up my fucking kid. Anyways, go ahead with the positive story. Let's end this with some positivity.
You ever had any good teachers and you're like, actually, like, if this teacher were still around, I would like totally hit them up like they were cool.
Absolutely. There were some teachers that genuinely, at least on the surface, acted like they cared. And I could name them off, but I'll let you go.
I had a teacher in high school that actually set me on the path I am on right now, like graphic design, that sort of stuff. His name was Mr. Picklesheimer. I want to say his real name because unfortunately he passed away during COVID. But that teacher, he was probably the coolest motherfucker in school.
Yeah.
Like we all had like teachers that were super cool, and there were several of them at my high school. But this one, like for me, like motherfucker was cool.
Right.
We had started learning 3D work, Blender, as you can see from the screen, you know, right below you, like the red light homies there. Like I made that in Blender. He had taught me how to use that software from the beginning. And I remember, like, one story specifically, we were doing tutorials for Blender, and somebody had asked him for help. He was sitting at his desk working on other things because he was in charge of all the printing and stuff for school. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and was like, "You got this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got this." And he'd also, like, we had seen some tutorial for a lightsaber, I believe it was. Awesome. It looks really cool. And he was like, I went through this and it's way too extensive for us to do in class, but I'll throw it out there as a little challenge for you, Z. And I was like, oh, he called me out by name. Yeah. And I remember specifically spending like 3 or 4 hours working on that. Came in the next day and was like, here it is. Dude was fantastic.
You know,
and I was going to say, like, by the time I graduated school, he had given me, like, a bunch of camera bags and stuff that he was going to end up getting rid of. I still have those to this day because I never got rid of them. And then I had heard a few years later that he had passed away due to COVID, and I was just like, damn.
Yeah. 100%. I had teachers who you just wondered how they got the job and why they have the job. Just, like, they're smart, and this is what they got stuck with. I get it. Teachers don't get paid shit, but, like, come on. And I also had teachers, like I said, that were cool. I could think of Dr. Dement, Mr. Dwyer. I can think of those guys, Mr. Ruttencutter, Coach Weeks. A lot of guys that were really dope. And Miss Ward, I don't want to be sexist here. Miss Ward, Miss Robbins, Miss Gardner. Miss Gardner was the one who we joked about it, but it was nice that she kind of noticed the suicide watch thing. Mm-hmm. But you have those teachers that actually cared about what they did and gave a shit about the students. And that's what we'll end on. Because I'm telling you right now, the smell of fajitas is filling my nose and I'm starving.
Yeah, I'm aware and I'm jealous. I'm going to go out and buy food after this. So, yeah.
All right. Everybody, good luck in school this coming up fall.
Yes, good luck.
Of course.
Pray that you don't have our shitty teachers.
Whereas we're pretty crass, so I hope nobody younger than maybe freshman year is listening to this. Even then, people like that don't have the attention span to listen to an hour-long podcast. But follow, rate, share, especially rating, especially sharing. Rate us 5 stars. Tell us whatever the fuck you want to tell us. Be honest, but just put 5 stars. That help out very much. And share. Click the crooked arrow and share on all platforms you have, or word of mouth. Word of mouth is very, very cool. If you have a teacher that comes up to you and is like, hey, I want to be hip with the kids. What kind of podcast do I need to listen to be lit, right? Z, what do they tell them?
You say, all right, teacher, for one, never use that language around me again. But if you want something fun to listen to, something interesting to listen to, you should head over to the boys, Jackie and Z at Red Light Homies. Anywhere you can get it. YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, wherever. We're everywhere.
Absolutely. This was the homies, Jackie and Z.
That's me.
And we'll see y'all next Monday.
Peace out.